Horsegirl, Phonetics, on and on, album review, let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest record, the second album from Chicago's own Horsegirl. They've been at it for a few years now. And around the time of their debut versions of Modern Performance, I actually started looking their way in a pretty big way. While there was nothing wildly new or exciting as far as the indie world goes on this record, there was a serious old school charm to this thing. It was noisy and almost lo-fi as well. I mean, I didn't end up reviewing it, but it certainly was one of the better indie records released that year. A few years later, they also put out that Rough Trade Super Disc. While short, I did enjoy the versatility of this thing. I mean, there was everything from really interesting demos to some live cuts to a full-blown cover of the Universal Pictures theme. Didn't know I needed that. And this is their first record since then, and honestly, I've been pretty excited for this thing. The singles they've been dropping lately have been very, very consistent. Let's dive in. Tom kicks off with Where'd You Go, and I freaking love this thing. It's short, it's sweet, it's got some rumbling drums and a really memorable riff, and there is a simplicity to this track that just takes me back to a much simpler time in indie. I mean, Horsegirl do not waste a single second to bring in their very breezy, very monotone brand of indie rock. But let me tell you, it will stick with you. God, it's so catchy. Get used to me saying that because a lot of the tracks on this record are very, very instantaneous. Really love Rock City as well, especially the guitar work on this track. It's not as urgent or as immediate as this album's intro, but man, that wiry guitar work, it really does stick with you. But outside of that, this band's slacker rock style is absolutely up my alley. It's laid back, but it doesn't skimp on being melodic and super, super catchy and effective. And the sheer focus of the band is commendable. While nothing wildly outside of the box is on this album, what they do good, they do fantastic. Also really love In Twos. This is one of the more bluesy and pensive moments here. It's a pretty hushed sound that's mostly built upon very patient drumming and very lonely bass work. But let me tell you, the band locks in on this groove and this track becomes hypnotic. As a matter of fact, the band's vocals just kind of come together as this very melodic, harmonious, almost mantra. Something about this record just clicks with me so easily. Also, really do love 2, 4, 6, 8. Everything between the off-kilter pacing and the weirdo violin floating through the background just works for me here. I've loved this track since it dropped as a single. It is just a short and sweet, joyous, very rah-rah indie folk track that I can't say no to. Not for nothing, it is absolutely adorable. Good luck getting it out of your head. A lot of the same feelings on Well, I Know You're Shy. I mean, you could argue that a lot of this record is a little one-note and one-dimensional, but I would argue right back that they do that one dimension really, really well. Plus, almost every cut on this record, while maybe seemingly a little similar from a distance, have amazing little details. I mean, this hook is so infectious. The Twee vibes on display here. I mean, right on. My hat is off to them. I mean, there is so much of an awkward charm to this track that I just can't help but just have this big, goofy smile on my face listening to it. It's great. Now, I will say that later on in the record, the more monotonous side of this record does kind of come to fruition. Like Julie, for example, one of the singles leading up to this thing, it has kind of plummeted in my rankings. I mean, so far, this album has been nothing short of a very breezy, very carefree, and easy to take in album. And then we have Julie, which just kind of plods along awkwardly for 4.5 minutes. Compared to the rest of this record, this track has a completely different sound to it. And this is the first time on this album that the sort of slacker style to this record seems to be tearing the band apart completely. This track sounds like it's pulling teeth. A lot of the same thoughts, sadly, on Sports Meets Sounds as well. Much like Julie, this track takes the whole slacker thing and takes it a little bit too far. I mean, once again, lyrically, it's very cute, very charming, but this instrumental is a complete watch. It sounds like the band just threw this together very, very quickly, and it shows. But the rest of this record is just some really charming indie that I can't say no to. Like Switch Over, for example, track of the record and my favorite single here. It's got some teeth to it, it's urgent enough that it needs to be, and my God, good luck getting this hook out of your head. It may be the most straightforward cut here, but my God, on the catchiness scale, this is a 10. Information content also really, really sharp. I love the laid-back vibes and the riff that we get here. Woo! It's one of the more surreal sounding cuts here, and I mean that in the best way. It may not be the easiest to get into track and the catchiest and most forward facing cut here, but man, there is something about this track that makes me just get so lost in it super quick. It honestly brings me back to the early days of indie for me. It's really impressive, and Frontrunner is just done so well. This one's got some drama to it and also some unexpected southern charm. And with that comes one of Horsegirl's most commanding cuts here in their own way. It's a real sharp late album cut, and man, these harmonies, they are delicious. And I Can't Stand to See You as the finale is just a pleasant, upbeat, jangly pop tune that puts a smile on my face. It's full of heart as well, and honestly, this track did take a little while to grow on me. Initially, I thought that this was a little bit too same sounding, but it's so charming, it's so sweet. I can't say no to this, and I can't say no to a lot of this record, honestly. While nothing wildly new in the indie world, Horsegirl have a real knack for just narrowing in on the genre's classic elements and doing them really well. The slacker vibes are sharp, the hooks are instantaneous, and the sort of noisy lo-fi production to this all just reminds me of what I loved about indie to begin with. I'm feeling a very light 8 on this record, but let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.